Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome again to the Third 10 Podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Nguyen, joined by my co-host, Brian Germinaro. This is Wednesday, so happy Wednesday, because tomorrow's 4th of July, because usually we record on Thursdays, and with the holidays, plus, Brian, you're headed off to a very nice place after today's episode, right? Where are you headed to?
Oh yeah, I'm heading on vacation, going down to South Carolina for a couple days. So it's gonna be
Woo-hoo-hoo.
exactly what I need.
Alrighty. Well, have fun, buddy. Be safe as always over there.
hmm
And if you guys see Brian and you recognize him from the show and you live in South Carolina, well, he'll be there. Meet
Yeah,
and greet. Imagine if you had a meet and greet. That'd be the actually funniest thing. Be like, oh, you're the guy from the Third and podcast.
yeah. I don't even know what I would do in that situation. Like, hey,
Be like, hey, you watched the show. Thanks.
yeah,
Great.
cool, awesome, dude.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But today's episode is gonna be a lot of fun. We got a lot of stuff to discuss. Last night, the Giants and HBO released their first episode of Hard Knocks. As we all know, this is the first time a team is being covered in the off season, so that was fun to watch. We'll discuss our thoughts with that first episode. We'll discuss Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. Brian will give his thoughts on whether this season will be a make or break one for him. And then we'll discuss Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. And then finally, we'll end the show with our top 5 songs on our playlist because it's summer and you guys want some bangers. So we'll give you all some bangers as best we can. Brian, I don't know what music you're into. I'm all over the place. But
Same.
we'll discuss that
Yeah.
towards the end of the show. Without further ado, might as well get started. So our first segment, as always, is called Inside the Giant, presented by SeatGeek. Whether it's concert tickets, TV, comedy shows, sporting events, SeatGeek has everything you need in terms of tickets. They got it at the best price. And if you use the code BELLYUPSPORTS, you get $20 off your first purchase. So make sure to use that code when you are getting your tickets from SeatGeek. So the best place to get your tickets. Alrighty. I was very excited. I was literally 10 minutes before 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, just waiting by my laptop for the first episode to go live. I was so excited because our Giants, we don't get really from a
No,
national standpoint. There's not much of a spotlight on us.
no, it's not really. We're still like the old school kind of team where like
Hmm.
everything's kept in house. Mara has gone on record saying he doesn't like having hard knocks at training camp. I guess it's different for an off season, or maybe it being our 100th season caused some change, or maybe a younger Mara that we don't know yet, but might know in the next generation or so. It was like, hey, dad or grandpa, time to adapt to the times and get us on hard knocks. What are we doing here?
Exactly. And honestly, this was like long overdue because there were so many teams in the past that were featured in Hard Knocks. We saw the Jets last season. We've seen teams like the Arizona Cardinals be featured in the in-season version of it. But what better team to have on the first ever off-season edition of the franchise than the Giants themselves?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I was waiting. I watched it. I took notes like it was a homework assignment. That's just the nerd in me, but it is what it is. Because there's a lot to unpack from what
Oh, there's a lot in this There's a lot in this episode we
I know,
learned.
and it's the first one. We still got a
Exactly.
whole month of them left.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think we'll start with you. What was one thing that you took away from the show? We have a few clips to show as well,
Yeah.
from the episode. But what was one thing that stood out to you?
So
From
I mean, if I had a bunch of different stuff stand out to me. Two main ones. One is I really like the fact that Joe Shane is depressed on Super Bowl Sunday. He said it at the very end of the show. He's like, "Oh, this is the worst day of the year." Perfect mentality for the guy running your football team to have. There's a show on Hulu right now called Shoresy. It's about a minor league hockey team, and one of the things they iterate in that show is we want guys who hate to lose. And I heard that, I'm like, oh, yes, that's the type of player I like. I like that guy. Joe Shane proved last night that he is that type of player. Now, as you know, he's a general manager, a little different, but he's going to do everything in his power to get the people in here and not fail. He has a plan, and it's going to work. And speaking of that plan, he's locked into Daniel Jones because he gave Jones 2 years. He wasn't going to let one bad year sway his decision on Jones or the plan he had in place. His plan was always give Jones these 2 years and let's see where it goes from there. So I kind of like a general manager that sticks by his guns and doesn't let the outside pressure of fans like me or the media saying Jones sucks, moves on from him, get him off what he's supposed to do. I like a guy who's, believes in himself a little bit.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, for 31 other teams or 30 teams that don't play in the Super Bowl, their GMs are supposed to be upset. They're supposed to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, our team isn't in the big game. Why should we be excited or attend Super Bowl parties or all that stuff? As a fan, obviously we're different because no matter what, we're all gonna watch the Super Bowl. But these GMs, they're at work, and we saw that with Shane. He was dealing with the Saquon Barkley situation, so
Yeah.
that was definitely a sight to see. For me, what I liked was how we were introduced in a way to Chris Rossetti, the
Yes.
director of pro scouting, I believe, or is he? No, yeah, director
Pro
of pro
scouting,
scout.
yeah, because he had all the players. He was got to
Exactly.
like introduce the players. Like this is it reminded me of the scene from Moneyball. Like Billy, this is Scott Hattenberg. He's this.
Oh, I love that movie. I know what you're talking about too. I watched the movie like
The Jonah
multiple.
Hill character.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, he Rossetti is outstanding. Seriously, he
Mm-hmm.
knows his ball, and the reason why he was so interesting was not because he's so good at his, he seemed like he was so good at his job, but he mentioned like 8 players that the Giants were targeting,
Yes.
um, in this first episode. Because let's start with running backs. Obviously, we know about the Saquon Barkley stuff, so they were assessing the position, and Rossetti was leading the way. He was like, okay, a few guys that we're looking at were Zach Moss, and I was like, okay,
Interesting.
didn't know he was a choice. We all know he went to the Buffalo Bills. No, yes,
No, I
no,
think he went to
Bengals,
Cincinnati. I thought, yeah,
Cincinnati. Yes, he went to
yeah, he was on the
Cincinnati.
Bills. So that's why they first wanted him because they had the connection in Buffalo.
Exactly. So he was known as a pass protector according to Rossetti, which would have been nice to have. He runs pretty decently as well. We saw what he did with Indianapolis last season, but he's in Cincinnati, so it is what it is. Singletary, we'll get to him in just a second. Tony Pollard was another option as well. For New York, the price tag was a
Would have
bit.
hated it.
Yeah, me too.
Would have hated it.
I wouldn't
Every
have
second
wanted
of
him
it.
because last season we didn't really see much of Pollard, produce
Mm-mm.
like he did the year before with
Yeah.
Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he was an option, but the price was kind of the difference maker between or the deal breaker for New
Yeah.
York. DeAndre Swift, I really wouldn't have minded that, to be honest with you.
I could have lived with it. I definitely could have, especially if the Giants had gone about the way they did in the running back position.
Hmm.
Having Swift as the one and Thompson and Gray as the 2, 3. I could have gotten behind that one.
Yeah, Rossetti was talking about how he's an explosive back. He can
Mm-hmm.
make plays out of the backfield in terms of the receiving game. Known as a quote unquote package player is what Rossetti described
Yeah.
Swift as. So that was an interesting term there. And then Josh Jacobs, who made 11 million last season, he was
Yes.
also an option, but because of his lack of consistency and he did lead the league in rushing in 2022, he
Mm-hmm.
kind of fell off last season. So that kind of scared the Giants away. And then we had
Yeah.
Devin
You're
Singletary.
buying him at a low. You're buying him at a low
Hmm.
if you're going to bring in Josh Jacobs. So like,
Yeah,
yeah, would that affect the contract? Sure, but like, don't give him $11 million as a question mark.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it, the running back market, as we all know, is like just it's not fair. And even Joe
No.
Shane said it himself because they were in that same scene when they were discussing these running backs. Joe Shane was talking about how like, oh yeah, with the market, it's gonna be you don't see running backs get paid because there's so many other positions to address, especially for New York. When Shane was like, "Yeah, we still need a corner, we still need a pass rusher, we still need a receiver." So
Mm-hmm.
as we go through the needs, running back became less of a need, less kind of like it's lower on the bucket list of positions to
Yeah.
address for New York. So that plus the cap room situation with Daniel Jones,
Mm-hmm.
what
Yeah.
20% of the cap space that he's taking. So
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Shane said it. He goes, "I'm paying Daniel Jones $40 million. Why am I going to give a guy $40 million to hand the ball off to a $12 million guy?" I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Can't
Exactly.
argue with that.
Exactly. Which is actually a great transition because there was a clip that we discussed before we went on air that we want to show you guys. This was the scene where Joe Shane was with Brendan Brown, who I love as the assistant GM.
Yeah, Brown, I like
Uh,
Brown a lot.
I do. I really hope he doesn't leave. He's gonna leave
He's
eventually.
I don't want to leave, but like I do at the same time because if he's leaving, that means Shane and the Giants are a successful team. If he's gone,
That's true. Okay, that
yeah.
that, that is a win-win because he
Hmm.
gets. Yeah. So Brandon Brown was there, Rossetti was there, and then just the others other members of the management staff were there. So we want to give this to you guys, and we'll give our thoughts afterwards.
I just think all the teams that need a running back are going to look at Saquon. Do you feel good about eating $3 to $4 million for a fifth round pick? Like I wouldn't.
I don't know. I'm not. There's no guarantee we can trade him. So having the needs that we have in a $12 million, 27-year-old running back.
Trading Saquon is a Hail Mary, and the drama and all that goes with it. We did that last year.
10 years off my life dealing with it. Emotionally, was draining. We spent a lot of time on it. But again, I don't want that to be the reason that we don't do what's best for the franchise.
Okay, so to take this a step further, we lose Saquon, right? What's our identity going to be on offense now? And what's our plan what's the next step of that? I guess is what I'm thinking. Like, we're losing
Yeah, well, it's never.
a large part of our offense, our explosiveness, our touchdowns. Quarterback, if it's Daniel, depends on the run game.
We got to upgrade the offensive line, and you're paying the guy $40 million. It's not to hand the ball off to a $12 million back. My plan is to address the offensive line at some point here in free agency. We're sitting at 6. There's a chance there's an offensive weapon there. This is the year for Daniel. Plan all along was give him a couple years. Is he our guy for the next 10 years, or do we need to pivot and find somebody else?
That's general manager right there.
That's the man right there. I love Joe Shane so much. But I mean, everything he said was true. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
pay a guy 40 million just to hand the ball off. I mean, anyone could do. I could do it. You could do it. We all could do it.
Yeah.
So and the belief is there. Before when Jones got signed to the contract extension, especially after the season ended this past year, we thought like, oh, John Mara was the one who influenced the extension of Jones. No, it seems like Joe Shane was on board the whole time, and he believes in him so much.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where if he's believing in Jones, then maybe some of us should stop with the criticism and just believe in the guy because it wasn't that long ago where he did lead us to the playoffs.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
like we can blame we can say Saquon carried us all we want, and that defense carries all we want. Daniel Jones did have a career year that year, and in that playoff game, it was Daniel Jones. It wasn't Saquon Barkley. Yes, he had moments, but Daniel Jones had over 100 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing, threw for multiple touchdowns. I think he had a rushing touchdown that game. Daniel Jones won us that Minnesota game. And on all of our minds, we go, okay, that's the quarterback Daniel Jones can be. That's his ceiling right there. If we can have Daniel Jones play that for 17 games a season, this is a playoff caliber team. And that's why he earned $40 million. You don't want to say give the guy for one season, but what would the reaction have been had Daniel Jones come off of that and the Giants just let him walk in free agency? Then the Giants are almost forced to go get a quarterback they might not believe in.
Mm-hmm. And we can obviously once we well probably we'll get to see the front office's decision behind trading up to get Drake May because that was something that was brought up on draft day because the Giants were trying to trade up to number 3 to draft May from North Carolina. So maybe we'll get a glimpse of that then. But at this moment right now,
Or is that even true?
that is
Could that
true.
just be something the Patriots made up, let's just say, to try to spur interest? Like we don't know how credible all these sources are until I hear Joe Shane on the phone doing the Patriots. I'm of the belief of that report was false.
And yeah, that's perfectly valid. You're 1,000% right. Because it's just it was mentioned so many times. When we read that, it's like, okay, New York really did try to get May, but we have live evidence of this front office working now. This is what the show is for. So
Yeah.
hopefully, once we get to that draft episode, then we'll see.
It
But as
might
of
be
right,
explained next episode with the combine. Like, say, just they fell in love with May at the combine.
yeah, and I mean, it's like uh, they believe in him, Jones,
Mhm.
and if I think it was at the end of the show, no, at the beginning when Joe Shane was sitting on his desk and he was like, Malik Neighbors, please be there.
Yeah.
That kind of proves your point that maybe we didn't want to trade up after all. That we were just hoping that Neighbors would fall to us. We'll just have to see. That's why, like, I don't like the fact that we have to wait till next week and the week after because I want to see it now. But
Right. Yeah. The instant gratification of streaming has really corrupted us of waiting week to week, like we did back in the day.
Oh man, I'm excited to see what lies ahead in future episodes. But back to the point that we were discussing. There was one McDowell. The
Yes, that's Mara's nephew
he
or son,
was
son-in-law or nephew, one of the two.
he was interesting because I didn't want to get too much into him, but he seemed kind of off
I
in terms of
want
what
to
he
get
was saying.
into him. I want to discuss him a little bit because
Go ahead. Yeah.
so I mean, we're gonna discuss John Mara in a minute, like with the clip and everything. But there was a rumor going around that John Mara was a meddler. All right, he would meddle in team affairs and try to. I pushed that narrative a little bit that maybe Mara is doing this. We saw in this episode he's not. Okay, John Mara will he give his opinion? Sure, but any one of us, if we were an owner talking to our general manager, would give our opinion. Mara, at the end of the day, is a fan like us. He just happens to own the team. So he gave, his opinion. He didn't want to lose Saquon. He was like, that's going to be bad. But he does, push his ideas on the general managers and want them, I'm sure at the end of the day he would like to do it. But what we saw was Mara is behind the times because he talked about if we lose Saquon, we have to draft a running back early. No, you don't. It's been very well proven you can find a good running back anywhere. And Tim McDonald kind of stressing that same point of we got to get Saquon. He's our identity. What's our offense going to be without him? Where's the touchdowns? Newsflash, the offense wasn't good last year. So if losing our identity is losing Saquon Barkley, okay, because the offense had no identity to begin with last year. So the thing I fear is Mara has, people that are more loyal to him than actually trying to make the Giants better. Like, is McDonald there because he's really good and a football prodigy, like it's been claimed, or is he Mara's little puppet and basically gives the opinion of the owner into these general manager meetings?
And like we could take with a grain of salt. And McDonald, he did kind of bring up a good point where he was like, okay, we're losing a lot of our offense. What are we gonna do? But there's a comment where he said he was like, whoever is under center, whether it's Daniel. It just seems like sure Joe Shane is on board with Daniel, but guys like McDonald are like, which is fine. Like it's fine if because you can't have a front
There's
office.
fine to be disagreement. There's fine to be disagreement, and
yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's Joe Shane's decision.
Mm-hmm.
He has the final say. It's not a democracy. It is a dictatorship when you're a general manager. You just have advisors telling you what to do.
And because you can't have a bunch of like, yes, man, yeah, you're right. You have to have those, disagreements and whatnot to kind of explore both sides, to play devil's advocate to an extent.
Exactly.
And that's what McDonald was doing. And I feel like, there's a lot of hate towards him, based off what I saw from critics on social media. But at the end of the day,
there's critics because they think he's nepotism hire, and I do too. That's a big. That was a big problem with the Giants for years. Was the nepotism? There were a lot of guys with the last name of Mara or married to people with the last name Mara that were in very high-ranking football personnel decisions. And when you're losing, you had a decade Giants have, and you're seeing all these guys, and none of them are changing, the frustration comes out. And McDonald has just now become the figurehead of that because he's kind of the last person in that old regime. Before it really changed when Shane came in. Shane was allowed, he fired Chris Mara. McDonald's the last sort of, face of that old, how the Giants used to be run. And so many Giants fans, myself included, want to take it to the next step, the next generation, and see where Joe Shane leads us instead. Not what Amaro is going to do. Or someone connected to George Young.
Exactly. Yeah, 1,000%. At the end of the day, I just, like Joe Shane said, just rebuild the offensive line. I mean, it's so simple. He actually made a point earlier in the episode where he was talking with Brandon Brown, and I'm not sure if it was Rossetti in that same scene, but they were discussing how you put Patrick Mahomes behind that mess, and he's not going to succeed. So, and I think he was referencing the Miami Dolphins game.
With 3 practice squad guys.
Yeah, 3 practice squad guys. So it's like, we have tried to make that point multiple times in our past episodes, right, Brian? That it's like we can criticize Daniel Jones all we want, but you put any quarterback behind that offensive line, outside of Andrew Thomas, you really don't really have anything. I mean, that Pro Football Focus had him ranked as like one of the worst offensive lines in 2023. So
think about it. The guard, Justin Pugh, was off the couch. Bredesen struggled to start the year. Galinsky struggled. John Michael Smith was good when he's on the field, but he was a rookie, so he was an unknown. And Evan Neal struggled. So, there really wasn't any sort of, stability on that line.
Plus, Andrew Thomas got hurt week 1, and that just messed everything up the rest of the way. So, at the end of the day, you just got to build the offensive line again. And that's what, hopefully, we'll get to see that in later episodes. But we know what Shane did, which is, sign a couple of guys to start on the O-line. So, hopefully we'll get a in-depth look into why they chose the players they did. Spoiler alert, if you want to know, it's John Runyon and Jermaine Eluemunor, but we've discussed that multiple times. That it's not even a spoiler at this point. But to John Mara, huh? That's
to Mr. Mara. Mr. Mara.
That guy just grinds my gears, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, he is the owner of the Giants, and he made. When Joe Shane, there was a scene where Joe Shane was talking with Mara about the possibility of letting Saquon go. And let's be honest, Mara was unhappy. Take a look for yourself.
Because we're not going to franchise him. It doesn't make any sense to franchise him. So.
Unless you think you can trade him after doing that.
Right. And then could we get something and trade him? What are we really going to get? Unless it got down to like $7 million. And I don't want to offer that because I don't want to be like we disrespected him. There's 31 teams. It only takes one to... maybe be open to doing something. If it doesn't get to that, hey, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to let you hit free agency, find out your market, come back, and let us know if we can match it. If we can, we'll have those discussions.
I mean, in a perfect world, I'd still like to have him back. Until we can prove that we can have a decent offense without him.
Daniel's making a lot of money, and it's the fork. We got to figure out is he the guy? So we got to protect him. We need to put resources there.
Yeah.
We have Waller, Belly, a healthy Wandell, Hyatt, Slayton. We'll have to find a running back, but upgrade the offensive line, give them a chance.
That would force us to take a running back in the high to mid.
Or we can still sign one. There's going to be guys, if we're patient, that end up shaking out. Devin Singletary, who was in Houston, played for $275 this year. Joe Mixon may be a cap casualty, so now you got Saquon, Jacobs, Pollard, Eckler. That's 6 guys right there that are free agents. How many clubs really need running backs where they're going to invest resources in the position? Second week of free agency, I think there'll be some value guys, specifically at the running back position.
Yeah, I wouldn't commit to anything.
Do we not learn that if you take a running back in the high rounds, it doesn't work? That's not how you win a Super Bowl.
No, because he's still of the mindset of 90s and 2000s football, where yes, a running back could win you the Super Bowl. But that's just not what the league is anymore, Mara.
Just say the quote again, Brian. How does it go again? About
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
I love it. Like he does this every time, and it's just like, bro, just okay. No, but let's start with Joe Shane. He made a great
Yes.
point in the beginning of the clip. He said, they don't want to pay him $7 million because that would be disrespectful.
It would be.
Honest, yeah, that was perfectly handled by Shane. That just shows that Saquon, you are a. I'm just playing. Well, you are. I'm not gonna say it though. But Mara, he loves his guys, and obviously he was like, in a perfect world, like, we love to have him back. Well, no crap, buddy, we love to have him back, but
Yeah.
he's so dang
Joe
expensive.
Shane would probably love that Saquon Barkley back. But Joe Shane is a realist and realized, okay, 27 years old, multiple major knee injuries. We really gonna give this guy a record contract?
Yeah,
No. There's so much better value that we can get.
exactly. So it's like there was other bags on the market, like he talked about. Austin Eckler was one of them. Thank the Lord we did not get Austin Eckler. I would, after what I heard about Eckler the other day. Did you hear about him? What he was talking about?
No, I missed this one.
Oh, so basically he was complaining about the number of carries he was gonna get, because he was like, I'm not a workhorse running back. I'm more of a pass catcher. So I'm like, dude, you're a back. You're supposed to in the backfield, you put your hands like this and you clamp the ball
and go. Well, yes, Austin Eckler was used a lot in the passing game in Los Angeles for the Chargers, but at the end of the day, you do need to run the ball sometimes. Like, that is a role. If you want to do that,
and that's why he's in Washington. But there was so many decent bags, and then after Joe Shane was like, he talked about how it may not be realistic to keep him or not. He was like, John Mara was like, oh, we could draft the running back in the high to mid rounds. No, we drafted Saquon at 2nd overall. We have to learn our lesson that early round backs do not work.
Yeah, no.
There's other needs.
And you could see it. Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, both a year and 2 years before Saquon Barkley. Where are they now? They flamed out.
Yeah.
Zeke's back in Dallas, but no one is calling Zeke a top 5 running back.
Yeah, like it's just it's the value. It's not the player, it's the value at the pick that you're getting the back.
Exactly.
If hypothetically, imagine if we got Jonathan Brooks at 6 overall, the Giants would look like lunatics, because you don't draft a running back, especially one who tore his ACL, that high. That's why Brooks went in the 2nd round to the Panthers.
And even if Brooks doesn't tear his ACL, I still think he goes in the 2nd round.
Yeah, there was
I still don't think a team, maybe late first, I'll give you that one, because sure, as a contending team, they can go draft a running back because the rest of the roster should be set. A running back is a finishing piece, not a core piece to build around.
Exactly, because like we've discussed, there's so many positions to address that running back isn't really that much of a major need to put money into. We saw the little image of Joe Shane pointing out the players, like Wan'Dale Robinson on the outside, Waller, Belly, Slayton. And
interesting he was so set on Waller coming back. Makes me question how much conversation Waller have about him potentially leaving, because from that conversation alone, you would think if Shane knew Waller was going to retire, he would say, all right, we might have Waller back, but he's debating retirement. There was no mention of Waller not being back. They penciled him in as tight end 1. So it's a bad look. Waller caught some shrapnel here, because he's like, it proves he wasn't talking to the Giants, which was the biggest complaint we had about it.
It was nice to see, at least, because you made a great point, because I didn't even think about that Joe Shane believed that Waller was coming back. I didn't even notice until you just mentioned it, based off that clip. So, conversation there, it seemed limited, like you just said. I'm just piggybacking off you're saying, because
I mean, sure, could, within the next few weeks, episodes, could it be revealed that Waller was talking to Giants? Sure, but just based off the information we have right now, it doesn't look like that.
And it's like, okay, so you have all those offensive weapons, and it's like like Joe Shane said, we have to protect your investment in Jones. So that means protect or getting him some offensive linemen. And that has just been so repeated multiple times because it's so necessary in order for this offense to succeed without Saquon Barkley. So
Yeah.
yeah, other than
Yeah,
that,
the point was making Daniel Jones the guy that makes the offense succeed. He's making $40 million. He should be the one leading this offense.
because they believe in him
Mhm.
so much. And yeah, he was. I won't talk about him too much because he was in the episode, but it was just mostly of his recovery. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing to take away there. I mean, he looks.
No, I doubt we'll see him again this show. Maybe a couple more times, like rehabbing and stuff, but I doubt he'll be a focal point. I believe we're gonna get more Dable and more a lot more Joe Shane.
I mean, it is the front office, the offseason edition. It seemed like if it was a training camp like we're used to seeing in previous years,
He'd be
then
the guy the camera was flying around.
exactly.
I will say, listening to Jones last night reminded me so much of Eli. I always forget how much he sounds like Eli.
You can't knock Jones for his maturity and his leadership. I mean, he's a good guy. He really is. And no matter how much heat he gets for his play, at the end of the day, he is a good guy, a good character, and you can't knock him for it. So, other than that, I mean, nothing much left. Dan Morgan of the Panthers discussed with Joe Shane about the Brian Burns trade, but we saw that like multiple times on social media. So I mean,
they kind of spoiled it, but like it's gonna be interesting seeing how Joe Shane was able to negotiate it down from a first plus, which is what everyone was thinking. Like even Rossetti said it's gonna be 1+. Somehow got down to a second and a fifth.
Great work for me, to me by them. So yeah, man. Other than that, oh yeah, Shane Bowen, loved seeing him there. Talking about what he wants from his defense,
yes,
and whatnot. I can't believe we were looking at Chris
similar
Jones.
to Wink. What's up?
Oh, go ahead.
I think it's gonna be very similar to Wink because he said like his most important players on the field are the inside linebackers. That's what Wink Martindale was. That's why they brought in. Oh my God.
Okereke.
I'm blanking right now.
Bobby
Okereke. Yes.
Yeah.
Okereke. I'm thinking Alex Ogletree for some reason. Like I know it's not him. But it's an O.
I remember those days. He was. Yeah, I liked him. I did.
Alex Ogletree was like in my mind. Like it's not Alex Ogletree. It's a similar sounding name, but it's not that.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, Shane Bowen's defense is same thing as Martindale's 3-4 defense. When asked about Isaiah Simmons, Bowen was like he sees him as a nickel in the nickel package on first and second down, and then in third down play the position called money. So that'll be interesting to see how that turns out once we actually see Simmons on the field, to be exact. Bowens, he talked about how he wants to penetrate it on the inside. He wants 4 pass rushers, elite pass rushers that can get to the quarterback. Spoiler alert, we have 3 of them, right? Dexter, Thibodeau, Burns.
We have 3, potentially a 4th will pop up.
3.5 with Ojulari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ojulari or maybe some of the other guys they were talking about. Maybe they take that next step in this new defense and become the 4th. But we definitely have 3.
Yeah.
Without question, there's 3.
I do like how he mentioned Boogie Basham and Ryder Anderson as guys. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I love the confidence in those 2, but they're not really starting caliber guys. So,
like I said, I love the confidence. I love that he watched the Giants tape and saw those 2 players who goes, okay, I can make something work with these guys. Like, he's not someone who's going in there and demanding, like, you have to get this player, this player, this player. He gave his thoughts, but he also watched the tape and goes, okay, if I don't get that star pass rusher, I can try making it work with this guy. What can I do to make this guy better?
Yeah, I have a good feeling about Bowen. I really do.
Yes, I think he's doing a great job in as our DC.
He seems like he bonds more with Dable compared to what Martindale was. So that's honestly great to see. I want to show this tweet real quick before we move on to Notre Dame. I don't have the video, but this tweet will do by Gridiron Media. Shout out to you guys. Where Dable and Joe Shane are discussing.
My favorite part of the whole episode, because I think we had this exact conversation when we hired him.
Dave was like, "Oh yeah, so Joe, Bowen's defense was ranked this here, ranked this and this and this and that and all that fun stuff." I'm like, you know what? That he's just like us, man. That's how we convince our friends. Like, hey, Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Josh Allen because Mahomes is first in passing yards, he's second in completion percentage, and all that stuff. He's just like they're just like us, man. They're just
Exactly,
grown
yeah.
men who do a better job than we do. When it comes to this stuff, but at the end of the day, this is how the conversation to hiring Shane Bowen came about. And with that being said, that will do it. That was a very long segment of Inside the Giant, but when you have a show like
A
that,
lot to break down.
hey, and guess what? Next Tuesday cannot come soon enough.
Yeah, I really can't. I want to say
can.
one more point before we go.
Of course.
Back to Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Something happened in that negotiation last year because even you saw it in the first clip we showed. Joe Shane said that was emotionally draining. It took 10 years off my life. And then his attitude is so different about getting rid of Saquon Barkley. I'm wondering what those conversations were like because they don't seem like they were great conversations between the two sides, and that might have created the final blow, if you say, of letting Saquon walk. Maybe that's why Joe Shane wasn't as aggressive with Saquon Barkley as he wanted to be. Maybe that's why he was more okay with just matching an offer instead of giving out a contract offer because he was done negotiating with them.
I think it's the fact that it seemed like he knew going in. He was like, okay, we're likely not getting Saquon. Everyone else believed we could, but because of what happened last year, because of how, like you mentioned, emotionally draining it was for him, it's to the point where, like, if you couldn't get anything done last year,
yeah, what makes you think you could have done this year? What's
exactly
different about this year?
Yeah, nothing. I mean,
No.
and he wasn't even that great this past year, Saquon.
He was fine.
Yeah, and I mean, we could talk about him and the contract all we want because they were like, oh yeah, which team is going to pay him top money? Yeah,
The rivals.
yeah, Rebels did, but
You take that. You take I-95. Them.
those guys over there, and Green and whatever. But no, shout out to Jared, by the way, the host of the Cornwood podcast. He's an Eagles fan, so he'll probably get on my butt later. But the point is,
Jared, the Eagles suck. Have fun with the horrific contract of Saquon Barkley. Give him that message for me.
He's gonna love you. Oh my god! But yeah. Other than that, just a great episode overall. First, such a banger of a pilot episode, and hopefully we'll see what happens in the next one, and we'll discuss.
Very interesting.
Probably have another show, probably the day after. We'll see what happens with there, but. Alrighty, well, that's it for Inside the Giant. We want to shift now to Subway Alumni Opinion, our second segment of the show. And Brian will be taking over this one. And last week we talked about a few players that we should keep an eye on for the Irish as they start their season the last day of August.
60 days.
60
I believe
days.
it's 60 or 61 days. They'll play in College Station against Texas A&M.
The Aggies. The Aggies of Texas and A&M. But so I'm excited for that. We'll definitely have a episode where we review the opponents and give our predictions for their record because my college football magazine is on the way, so I get to see.
There you go.
Yeah,
I'm learning.
I'm trying. But what is today's topic for the Irish today, Brian? What do you want to discuss with us today?
I mean, this is something I've been seeing on Twitter and social media and stuff. Is this season make or break for Marcus Freeman? Now, if you follow Notre Dame, you know the circumstances that brought Marcus Freeman in. We're sitting here, regular Fiesta Bowl, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Brian Kelly is off to LSU. And we're basically sitting here 2 weeks before a pretty big game. Like, yeah, it's not the college football playoffs, but we're playing in the Fiesta Bowl. That's a very big bowl game outside of it's a New Year's Six game for God's sakes. That's a huge deal in that world of college football. And our head coach just bolted. So, some people say the Notre Dame rushed it. Other people say, no, it's a smart decision. The players love Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame obviously gets into the players. brings in Marcus Freeman as head coach. Now let's go over what Marcus Freeman's done. He lost the bowl game. Okay, you know what? We chalked that up. They were up 35. They were up by 35-7 at one point and blew it. First game in an impossible situation. I kind of just write that off. Started off his first season kind of rocky. Lost to Ohio State, but still played a very good game against Ohio State. Lost to Marshall at home. That was a bad loss. Then picks it up and goes on a nice run. Brings Notre Dame to the Gator Bowl. Beats South Carolina. Cool. Second season, more of the same. Played well in some games. Kind of played down in some other games. Should have won the Ohio State game. Definitely should have beaten Louisville and lost. But again, got to the Sun Bowl, won. First time Notre Dame's won back-to-back titles, back-to-back bowl games since like the early 2000s. Now coming in, there has to be the next step, right? Marcus Freeman is starting to bring his old recruits are starting to take their spot on the roster. It's no longer Kelly's team with Kelly's players. This is Marcus Freeman's team with Marcus Freeman's guys just starting to come in. And with the playoffs expanding and Notre Dame having such an easy record, an easy schedule, there are thoughts that playoff or bust. And if Notre Dame doesn't get to the college football playoffs, Marcus Freeman is done, which I disagree with. For the simple reason, there's not been a Notre Dame coach that gets more out of his players or can recruit as well as Marcus Freeman has, maybe since Lou Holt. Like, yes, Brian Kelly was very good at bringing in talent and coaching. Look at Brian Kelly's record against top 25 teams or against big opponents. Notre Dame was always getting blown out in those games. Always. Now Notre Dame is actually competing. They should be in Ohio State. They got the big upset over USC and Caleb Williams. They got the huge upset 2 seasons ago against Clemson when Clemson was the 5th team in the nation. Notre Dame was not ranked, and they beat them 35-0. Notre Dame is actually really well coached with Marcus Freeman, and Marcus Freeman's a great recruiter. CJ Carr is the big quarterback prospect that should start next season. Brian Kelly could never bring in a quarterback like CJ Carr. Freeman did. Freeman had a number 1 recruiting class. It's gone down a little bit, but for majority last season was the number 1 recruiting class in the nation. So Freeman is bringing in talent that Notre Dame hasn't gotten in a while. And he's going to be the one to revitalize this program. And I want to see him with more of his recruits in there. Because sure, is it his team this year? Yes. But there is still, you can still feel the Brian Kelly exit a little bit. I think Marcus Freeman deserves 2 more years. If at that point, if Notre Dame is still struggling and they're, not struggling, but not getting to the playoffs, not competing in the big games, then we can open the conversation of Marcus Freeman firing. But the only way Marcus Freeman should be fired at the end of this season, if we're like 6-6 and completely derailed, the locker room is gone, only way he should be fired. But regardless of how this season ends, if it ends in an above 500 record and some sort of bowl appearance, Marcus Freeman should be back on the sidelines in South Bend in 2025.
All right. A couple questions for you.
Of course.
So Marcus Freeman, is he an all-around coach? Is he an offensive Is he more of an offensive mind or
defensive-minded coach?
Defensive-minded. Okay.
He was brought in. He was brought in as DC under Brian Kelly his first year, and then became the head coach that season.
Okay, gotcha. CJ Carr, you said he's a quarterback, so this will be his first year with the Irish.
Yes, he's
correct?
going to back up Riley Leonard this season. He was a 4-star recruit. I forgot exactly where he comes from. He is a pro-style quarterback. If you want a comparison, Mac Jones is saying that's the closest comparison they have. So that kind of style of quarterback. Now, I'm not saying he's going to play like Mac Jones, be as good or as bad as Mac Jones. I'm just saying that's the play style, and his build is very similar to that type of player.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know last episode I was like, is Brian Kelly still the head coach? Well, no, it's Marcus Freeman. And then everything clicked for me because I remember the one game I remember from the Irish. Well, two of them I remember was the game against Duke that you guys ended up winning, and then the Ohio State Notre Dame game where I believe it was a what happened that game? You guys lost by one.
Last second touchdown with 10 guys on the field.
Right. Which is wow because Freeman is a defensive mind. So
see that caused a lot of problems because how is no one seeing it? But like at the end of the day, like it's a mistake. It hurts. It stinks. But there were so many other events. I can't blame that one mistake. Like I believe it was it Cam Hart who had the interception? Somebody had the ball literally in their hands like this and dropped it for the interception that would end the game. Like it's in his hands. I can still picture it in my head. Offense was way too conservative that Ohio State game. They didn't take the big shots on the field like people were hoping they would. So it's a lot of different factors that led up to that.
Gotcha. Okay. So I just want to make this clear. So no matter what happens, in your opinion, in terms of, let's say they finish, for example, 6-6, maybe 5-7 to an extent, Freeman deserves another year after this season.
I think it depends on how the play is. Like if they're 5-7, but they're like in the games and the players are still fighting for Freeman, yes. But if it's like, 5-7, they're blowing a lot of games, players are just not with Freeman, then it might be time to open a conversation of should we just kind of let Freeman go?
Not to go too far, but you wouldn't have a coach in mind that would replace him, right? Not
off
to put
the
you on
top
the
of my
spot.
head. I'd have to see who is available and stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I just thought you might have
right. Yeah, no, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like you and many Notre Dame fans should believe in Marcus Freeman. I mean, why not, right? I mean, he hasn't been that bad these past couple of years from a statistical standpoint.
I think he's building the perfect culture that Notre Dame needed.
It's just the time factor that needs to.
Yeah, there's always like, okay, you're on a schedule, and then your schedule should be, okay, your third year, those are your recruits. This is your team now. Let's go.
Exactly. Well, with that being said, that will do it for Subway Alumni Opinion. Thank you, Brian, as always. We'll catch you in the next episode. We'll see what you got next for us about the Fighting Irish. We head to our third segment of the day, which is the carousel. We explore the football world outside of our beloved Giants. And today's topic for the carousel is Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Now, why are the Packers out of all teams relevant? Well, they look to contend in the NFC without a wide receiver number one. Wow. Here's the thing. So when the Packers drafted Jordan Love a few years ago, many people were confused because the team saw Aaron Rodgers. Why would you get Jordan Love? Well,
fast forward, need a wide receiver, like a very clear need. And people who don't follow the NFL closely knew the Packers need a wide receiver,
especially in the first round. Like people were like, why aren't they drafting a receiver in the first round? Yeah, but fast forward to now, and well, Rodgers is gone, and Jordan Love played phenomenal last season to the point where they made the playoffs, and they should have beat the 49ers, but they didn't because Jordan Love is a dumb. Just kidding. Here's the thing.
It's all his fault.
It's his. Oh, dude, I don't know what he was thinking, dude. He was. Oh, you don't do that. You don't do that in real life. You don't do that in Madden. You don't do it anywhere. Okay, you keep your feet set. You fire that thing, not run and just chuck it like you're Mahomes. You're not Mahomes.
No.
But the reason why the Packers are, I wanted to bring them up today because they look to contend the NFC without a wide receiver number one, a quarterback who looks to get paid soon, and they just paid a running back who was inconsistent last year. So why do we think they'll contend? Here's the thing. They may have the youngest group of wide receivers in the league. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavion Wicks, Bo Melton, Jaden Reed. The oldest receiver on that roster is Bo Melton. He is 24 years old. He is the oldest receiver in that room. And yet they made the playoffs last year. So keep that in mind. Plus you have Josh Jacobs, who's a pretty solid running back if he can rebound. You have solid tight ends in Luke Musgrave. Christian Watson was heralded to be the wide receiver number one, hasn't lived up to that yet, but he has potential because he's just an athletic, tall freak. Romeo Dobbs is consistent. Jordan Love, he gets the ball to his guys. And overall, Brian, the one question I have is, should we even doubt the Packers that they could contend in 2024? Or do you feel like there should be some level of concern for this team?
The concern would be more outside factors because it's the Packers. They're playing one of the tougher divisions in the league. Like, people have already probably said the Lions have locked up the division. The Vikings have an explosive offense. If Sam Darnold can capture his USC days, or if JJ McCarthy can come in and just be that game manager he was at Michigan, then the Vikings should be contending. The Chicago Bears are a complete wild card right now because we don't know what Caleb Williams is going to be, but they have a dangerous receiving core. They drafted Ozumze from Washington. They have Stephon Diggs. They had DJ Moore. Not Stephon Diggs. They have Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is what they have. Diggs is in Houston. They have Keenan Allen. That's a really dangerous receiving core. And if Williams gets time the ball and can find this, that offense has the potential to be explosive. So it's not that the Packers are good enough. Is every roster ahead of them better?
Mm-hmm. And honestly, that all lies with Jordan Love, because this guy, last season, 32 touchdowns last year. He beat the he beat the Cowboys in the wild card round. 48 points they put up, that offense did, which is absolutely insane. But it is the Cowboys, so come on now. He has great arm talent. He has great size. He's athletic. He can make plays outside the pocket, with the exception of that interception against the Niners. Look, overall, this guy, I just can't believe that a guy that Packers drafted a few years ago, who many were like, well, why'd you draft him? You had Aaron Rodgers. Well, hey, he needs time to develop, and look at him now. He's going to be starting 2024 as a franchise guy. And, I understand the outside noise, but hey, that's why you have 3 wildcard spots. That's why they're there. The Lions may clinch up that division, but I do have question marks about Minnesota. Sam Darnold is definitely, look, if they want to lose to our Giants in week 1, by all means.
That's fine. I should be there. So if they want to give me a win, that's fine.
By all means, go ahead and give us that win. Chicago, yes, it's a wild card team. Caleb Williams, will he get exposed in any way, shape, or form? That's to be determined. Can he get the ball to his 3 playmakers and Keenan Allen and Odunze and DJ Moore? That's, to be determined. Defensively, can they hold it down on that end? Green Bay is a complete team in a division where they could finish last just because of the various things that could happen. But at the end of the day, as long as Jordan Love plays well, as long as despite his very, very young group of wide receivers that are all under the age of 24, as long as he gets the ball to them and plays well, I think they'll be okay. But you made a great point when you said it depends on the teams on the outside. But if you add that plus his play, those 2 things are going to be the main determinants in whether the Packers will contend in the NFC this upcoming season.
I think the Packers will. I don't think they have a shot in the division. I think the Lions have that locked up. I think they're the best, without question, one of the best rosters in the NFC. I think they're a Super Bowl favorite right now. Like, not the favorite to win it, but one of the favorites to move on and get there.
Mm-hmm.
Then outside of that, you have to look at who's the wild card team going to be. I think the Packers will be in contention for that wild card spot. Is Jordan Love, does he have enough to get them over that hump?
Mm-hmm. And we, as many Packers fans do, they hope that he does. And he has the talent to do so. We'll just have to see with him. But the NFC is a pretty tough place to play, tough conference to be in. The weakest division is the NFC South, and
that's bad.
You can cross off any outside of whoever wins the division. You can cross off any of those teams that don't win the division as threats to make the wild card spot. So it's literally between
everyone in the West. Like, if any team from the West made it, you're not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Philly and Dallas are both locks. It's which one is going to be the winner, which one's not going to be.
Exactly.
Washington and the Giants could make some noise this year. Same thing with Minnesota and
Chicago.
Chicago. It's in the same. Those 4 teams kind of lumped together. Of we don't really know where this is. It go really good or it go really bad. And then that leaves the Packers. It's like, okay, well, where you're going to slot in?
Exactly. Yeah, you mean so it's either the loser of the division between Philly and Dallas that locks up one wild card spot. I would
At
have
least
to
one team from the West is going to be in a wild card spot. So that's that final spot. So, oh, I got balloons.
Ooh,
I don't know what I touched, but okay, I got balloons.
dang it! I want a balloon. But go ahead. You were saying so you had
So
the
you
yeah.
get 2 spots essentially locked up. That's that third spot. Now it's not going to be a team from the West, because Niners have the division locked down. Seattle, the Rams, or the Cardinals. One of those teams will lock up that second wild card spot. Probably Seattle or LA. And then it's all right. Well, is the other West team going to beat them out? Kyler Murray going to bring the Cardinals back? Are the Bears going to be a great team with Caleb Williams and that explosive offense? Are the Vikings going to figure out quarterback situation? Are the Commanders going to be back? Because they have a really good offense on paper with a young quarterback who should be explosive. The Giants defense is going to be, should be scary this year. Will that carry them to a postseason berth? Just don't know.
That's the beauty of football. Just so
Yeah.
many unknowns, and we'll have to see. But at the end of the day, we see the Packers as contenders. It's just a matter of if they, as long as everything goes well, where will they lie in the wild card race? And thank God football is going to happen in 2 months because we'll find out the answer to that question as well as the 31 other teams that exist in the National Football League. And we will likely do. It makes sense to do division reviews instead of each team reviews because that would be 32 episodes, and that's kind of I don't mind doing it. It's just a matter of it seems like divisions.
It's timing. We have enough time to get to there. But divisions, 8 episodes is a lot easier than 32.
Sounds good to me.
And also, does a team like the Chargers or a team to be bad next year? Do they really need a whole episode dedicated to them?
That is true. It's like, okay, Justin Herbert, Joe Alt.
Just spend an hour talking about the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, that's gonna be. Oh, that would be torture.
Spend 10 minutes talking about them.
Oh, that'd be torture. Yeah, you're right. We'll let you guys know about that, but expect some division reviews to be coming up sooner rather than later. But already, last segment of the day, Outside the Lines, featuring our guy Stewie from Family Guy, and I still don't know the other guy still.
Mr. Charlie Kelly from It's Always Sunny.
Charlie Kelly, beautiful. I still gotta watch that show, by the way.
Great show.
I got a lot to catch up on. All right, our topic for this one is our top 5 songs on our playlist. We talk about sports all the dang time on this show, but we never did, talk about our personal life as much. Like our tunes that we listen to on a daily basis. What's on our playlist, you might ask? Well, we have the answers for you. For me, Brian, I listen to indie artists like, those new kind of under the radar artists at times. Sure, you have the big name here and there. But mostly it's a mix of everything for me. What about you? Before we really reveal our songs?
I'm a mix too. I listen to a lot of country music, a lot of punk rock, pop rock, and then classic rock.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like it. Well, without further ado, my good sir, I know you have some songs you want to share with us.
Sure.
What does your top 5 playlist look like? Or top 5 songs on your playlist?
Yeah, so this was tough. This is a really tough one, narrowing down the 5 because instantly 15 came to mind. But if I have to go 5, especially right now, at number 5, I'm going to do Amen Amigo by Aaron Watson. It's a song about friends that go down to Mexico on vacation. Just a fun song to listen to, especially in the summer. Got a nice beat to it, very vacation-y kind of vibes. Perfect. Number 4 is going to be Jet Lag by Simple Pain. It's a song about a long distance relationship. You say good morning, but it's midnight. They're on different continents and different time zones. And the song sounds good, but it's the beat. It's a fast paced song and the guitar is just great in it.
Okay.
At number 3, it's What I Almost Was by Eric Church. This is a song. This this guy goes through different moments in his life and what he could have been. Like, he was a football star, and then he hurt his knee, so he had to walk on at college, and he gets cut, so he couldn't be a football star. But he's happy where he is now, so he thanks God he's not what he almost was. Was dating someone who had ties to a very successful businessman. Was going to, kind of in line to take a corner office somewhere. Could have been successful, but he, up and left because he had to follow his gut, and he thanks God that's not what he was. So it's just a very interesting way of like looking at different moments in life and being like, thank God I ain't what I almost was. At number 2 is the song. It's me and my friend's anthem. It's I'm pretty good at drinking beer. That's by Billy Currington. The song is basically just going through different things people do, and he goes, I'm not good at that, but I'm good at drinking beer, which is what I'm good at. So, I relate a lot to the song. Not good at much, but I can drink beer. And number 1, it's my favorite song of all time. It's I Go Back by Kenny Chesney. It's about a guy who hears different songs, and they bring him back to a certain memory. He hears, Jack and Diane, he's right back to his high school years. He hears Only the Good Die Young, and it brings him back to the loss of someone he was very close with. So it's just a very cool kind of song. If you could pick up the song, the Easter eggs throughout the song, it's very fun.
Okay, I love it. Well, I know what I'll be listening to after this show. To those, so we have Amen Amigo, right? Is that what it's called?
Amen Amigo, yes. Amen Amigo by Aaron Watson.
Jet Lag
by Simple Pain.
What I Almost Was. I'm pretty good at drinking.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at drinking beer. And I Go Back.
Yep.
Beautiful. Great song choices. I'll let you know what I think. And we hope to get your guys' opinion as well in the comment section on Brian's top 5 songs on his playlist. All right. So, here comes my turn. Oh, boy.
Cool.
Like I said, a lot of I'm a mix of everything.
Yeah.
Number 5 for me, it's called The Alternative by Lynn Lapid. It's about it's a kind of a love song in a way. It's about a this girl who is in a relationship with this guy, but they're starting to kind of fade away in terms of their feelings for one another. And she talks about like, love hurts, but what's the alternative? Being alone. Like, would you rather do that or try to fight for the love that you have? The beat's good. The words are meaningful. If you're in a heartbreak situation, it's the best song for you. But even if you're just normal, you want a tune to listen to.
Just normal.
Yeah, like we all go through heartbreak, but
it's just very funny the way you're going through heartbreak, or you're just a normal guy.
I'm a normal guy, want a tune to play. That's the one for you. But that's number 5. That was on repeat a lot for me in the past few months. Upside Down now, obviously, but I love Lynn Lapid. She's a great artist herself. Shout out to her. Number 4 is Caught in a Blue by Steven Sanchez. Very upbeat song. He's a talented artist. He actually was in Oakland last year, Oakland, California. Really? Yeah, he was performing. One of my friends went to go see him. He's a good looking dude. Don't take that out of context, please. Jesus Christ. I know how you guys are. He's a good looking dude, handsome fellow. But his voice is very talented. His latest album, Angel Face, is all the songs on that album is very good. But Caught in the Blue is one of my favorites. Number 4 on my list, to be exact. Number 3 is called Easy Living by Public Library. Wow, I forgot the name. Public Library Commute. Yes, that is the artist name. Very long name. The beat is good. Just give it a try. There's not really a meaning to it except living life as easy as you can. Ryan, I don't know, man. The beat and the words speak to me. I don't know how to describe it.
Hey, this is your list. There's no need to defend it or anything.
Exactly.
Like it, okay, boom.
I like 3. It, yeah. Number 2 is Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter. That song is it's a very popular song right now. I think number 1 on the top charts right now, I believe.
Sure.
She was a Disney star. If you guys
I was
don't
gonna
know.
say she was in Girl Meets World.
Yeah, dude, but she has grown up a lot. She has absolute bangers all over the place these days. Yeah, she has 2 songs actually in the top 5, and those 2 songs have switched back and forth between number 1 and number 2 for like the past 3-4 weeks. And imagine like, oh yeah, your song is not number 1 anymore. It's your other song
It's
that's
your
now number 1.
your other song.
That's when you know you're big.
Yeah.
She's made it far in life from her career at Disney to where she is now. So shout out to her. That song is
what Rowan Blanchard looks like these days. She's she
Anyways,
doesn't
number
look much
1.
like what she used to look like.
Dude, crazy what science and surgery will do for you. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if she had that.
No, Rowan Blanchard. I know Sabrina is natural, but I think Rowan got some work done.
Yeah, she looks nothing like she did as a kid.
Yeah, you don't go from where you were before to now like without some help.
That's
But hey,
fair.
all power to her, man. She got the money. She do what she
Hey,
wants.
it's everyone's life. Live life the way you want to live it.
I mean, if I had money, I would have an Xbox and a PlayStation right now and a PC. But hey, we're not all Disney stars, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then number 1 on my list is called Room 32 by Austin George. This dude is fudging good. I couldn't pick a song from him because I didn't want repeat songs by him on my list. But Room 32, it's a banger. If there's any song I want you guys, especially you, Brian, to get from my playlist, is Room.
Oh no,
32.
I'm definitely like you said. As soon as it's over, I'll pop them on.
Exactly.
We're going with these.
Yes, sir. It may not be country, but it's.
Hey, I'm not listening to anything, so
yeah, let's go. But yeah, that's my top 5. The Alternative by Lynn Lapid, Caught in a Blue by Steven Sanchez, Easy Living by Public Library Commute, Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter, and then Room 32 by Austin George. And that will do it for our top 5 songs on our playlist. That will do it for the Outside the Lines segment. It was a fun episode, of course, Brian, as always. We talked a lot of football stuff in the beginning with Hard Knocks. That took up a lot of our show, but obviously
that's going to be the future of the show. It's just Hard Knocks, just breaking down Hard Knocks. We're going to learn a lot. We're going to know a lot about this Giants team and how it operates soon.
Exactly, and it's a beautiful thing to learn how our front office and the discussions that are made. Even though there may be some clips that get cut off because, as we all know, the Giants do have the final say in which what gets included in the show.
Mm-hmm.
What we get to see is already a treat in itself. So we're just incredibly thankful for that. So we discussed that. We discussed some Notre Dame. If Marcus Freeman is on the hot seat, Brian says to give him a couple more years. We shall give him a couple more years, shall we? We talked about Jordan Love and the Packers, and then we wrapped it up with our top 5 songs. So here's the plan. No episode from both of us the rest of the week. What you see is what you get for the remainder of this week. Today's Wednesday anyway, so and the holiday is tomorrow. So
exactly, it's a short week. No one's working. If your boss make you come in on Friday, they're a communist. Call out. That's not what America was founded for.
Call in sick, baby. That's how it works. But yeah,
it begins tomorrow.
Oh, the hot dog eating contest. I forgot that's tomorrow.
Contest. Yes, sir.
Woo! Bonus question: you think you could compete in that?
God, no.
No.
No. I would throw up after 20.
12. Damn, 20 is impressive as it is.
I eat a lot of hot dogs.
I could too. Except if it's at the Coliseum. The Oakland Coliseum isn't really known for hot dogs.
That's the one benefit of being so close to Coney Island is your team gets Nathan's Hot Dogs as their sponsor.
Damn. Are the Mets hot dogs actually good?
They're actually good, yeah. It's a Nathan's Hot Dog.
Oh, yeah. I would know. I made the hot dogs. Duh. Anyways. Yeah, that'll do it, man. So we appreciate y'all for listening. Thank you so much, as always. We'll see you guys next week. Likely, once we get the new episode of Hard Knocks out. Maybe we'll have an episode before. We'll see, depending on what topics are out there. But division reviews are on the way. Check out me and Brian's work on BELLYUPSPORTS.com in terms of our writing articles and stuff like that. Brian released recently something about the NHL NHL winners.
Free agency winner and losers. Yeah, that just came out.
Exactly.
History of Bobby Bonilla Day. That came out too. So a lot of interesting stuff going on over there.
Check it out. BELLYUPSPORTS.com, not just for me, not just for Brian, but for all our creators at the company. They have great content for you guys to read and listen to as well. Thank you so much. As always, we'll see y'all next week. This has been episode 2, season 2 of the 30 to 10 podcast. We'll see